Yo, check this out. String theory debate.
Right. I don't I don't even know the basis or the basics of physics. So I don't think I could watch this and know what actually they're talking about.
Have you watched the whole Susskind debate? Or not the Susskind interview?
The Susskind interview.
Yeah, so Susskind, hold on.
I still have to watch like the video you sent me about intercession first.
So Susskind is the quote unquote father of string theory, right? He explains it to you. So this is his like reevaluation of everything that's happened, where he's at with it.
Hmm. Okay. Wait, Bisma, do you actually believe in string theory?
No,
Okay.
I think it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
Okay. Because I know you're talking about with Triggy.
So here's so Ramon, here's all you have to know, right?
Yeah.
About what string theory is about, okay?
Yeah.
So it isn't about this double slit experiment shit because that really doesn't tell us much. It's only a demonstration like according to string theorists. It doesn't demonstrate anything about the physical world. What it's trying to demonstrate is that the way in which we formulate hypotheses isn't able to address a particular category or classification of um, empirical testing. Okay. And that's when you shoot like photons through like a slit. You know what I mean? So when
Yeah.
they teach the whole double slit experiment thing, it isn't about like wave patterns actually going out in a wave or anything like that. It's more that like the way that it usually the way the demonstration goes is they start with two slits, shoot the photon, through both of them, right? It's either going to choose one or the other. That's the assumption. That's the hypothesis that you would come up with. It's going to choose one or the other, but what ends up happening is you end up with a fucking wave pattern in the back, okay? So then you'll cover one side, and then now you're just going to assume that, okay, since there's only one slit that's available, and since you closed off the other one, that what you're going to see is you're going to see the photon hit like like through that one slit and just show up as one dot on the other side. And they do it again, and it doesn't fucking happen. It's the same fucking wave pattern, okay? So now they fucking close off both slits, shoot the photon again, and guess what happens? Another fucking wave pattern. So clearly, it's just a demonstration that the way that we do scientific, classical hypothesis, formulate classical hypothesis based on like Newtonian causal theory, it doesn't work, right? It doesn't address, right? Like our hypothesis isn't able to begin to like try to address like we don't even have a best guess. You see what I mean? So
Hmm.
this is the demonstration that string theory used to try to justify why they don't have to rely on, empirical hypothesis in order to try to formulate an explanation for what's going on. And so instead, what they do is they try to do it through quantum field theory. Okay, this is the idea that in order to explain gravity, we're going to have to do it within like a using certain mathematical assumptions about the constants themselves. Okay, so when it comes to trying to model like uh, how matter can behave in quanta between the space that exists between bodies in space, they use a lambda CDM model. Okay. Lambda
Yeah.
CDM, all this means is the CDM part is really the part that people miss, and most of the time, people only focus on the lambda part. CDM stands for cold dark matter. So the equation itself, in order to try to explain that mathematical constant that exists in general relativity, they came up with a formula to try it because what they're assuming is that dark matter does exist, dark energy does exist based on the expansion rate of the universe. They can demonstrate this by coming up with a formula assuming what they believe to be is mathematically dark matter, and then try to measure the rate of expansion between however many bodies that they want to do. Okay. Part of that CDM equation is what they're calling quantum field theory, okay, or quantum mechanics.
Okay.
This is the explanation for at that subatomic level how they're able to account for the variability of one constant versus another by assuming that there are like these subatomic particles. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
like quasarks and whatever, quarks, yorks, borks, and shorts and whatever's. The competing theory to this, right, is what's called the like as what in terms of cosmology, okay, like how to explain quote unquote rate of expansion, and then try to give us a model of like the beginning of the universe is MOND, which is a modified Newtonian dynamics theorem. It's a different mathematical assumption, right? But it's still based on like a general like Newtonian rule, and then they include Einstein's general relativity as part of it, right? I don't know how they do this. I'm not a fucking mathematician. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So when you're asking for like what are like the fundamentals, I don't even know enough about physics. That's pretty much it. That's the whole generalized body of physics that we know so far, which really isn't that fucking much. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's pretty boring and dry. I mean, string theorists have a point that they're saying that, listen, I mean, we can't just rely on Newtonian physics anymore to describe the world mathematically, even in a hypothetical sense, for what we're observing, at the level of subatomic particle. Okay. But so
Yeah.
long as we can observe subatomic particle behavior, not the thing in itself, like we're not observing anything. You know what I mean? When we do the double slit experiment, we're just experiencing the effect. We're not actually experiencing like the photon doing anything. You get what I mean?
Hmm.
We're just gonna assume, uh, we're just gonna assume string theory, outside because from the string theorist's point of view, um, Newtonian physics cannot address that particular, situation.
Wait, can I ask a question
So
real quick?
yeah,
Um, am I going crazy, or is that not, is this same scenario not what happened um like over 2000 years ago with the pre-Socratics? They didn't know anything, but they were observing behavior, therefore they came up with a bunch of theories that were incorrect.
I mean, you're talking about the atomists, right?
Yeah, more
Yeah,
specifically,
yeah,
I guess.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like this is all within that same school of thought, right? The
Yeah.
reason why it's is similar is because the inductive premises are literally the same. But obviously our body of knowledge is much larger than that, right? That's the whole donation of like Newton, right? There's Newton's formal laws.
Yeah.
Like those are the laws of physics that he came up with based on principle of uniformity of nature. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
Puton.
logical induction.
No, Puton.
So, but that's the thing. It's not. It's unable to address this particular observation when it comes to like quantum particle, like isolated quantum particle, quanta.
Yeah, no. Quantum
So they're
behavior, yeah.
they're they're they're, they're trying to account for it through like um general what the fucking hell, dude? Like quantum field theory or whatever they're fucking trying to call it. Like uh what are the effects of gravity, at any given point in space and time? That's what that's what string theory is claiming that it's trying to figure out. Okay, it's been 30 years, 40 years of this shit, and in the Susskind interview, he goes like literally in depth, right? Like a layperson can understand this. You see what I mean? What he's actually saying. They've come up with this like so if they're taking for granted the expansion of space, then they can assume certain like they can use an equation with less variables at the edges of space, and this is what's called anti-de Sitter space. Okay, and in that kind of modular mathematics, you can get an actual like real prediction. You get what I mean? But when it comes to the sitter space, which is one without a boundary, space without a boundary, that's where not a lot of development of string theory has done. So that's what people mean when they're like, oh, well, string theory is nice, but it doesn't explain what's actually happening in the real world. Because the kind of quote unquote space or field, gravity field that we live in is de Sitter space and not anti de Sitter space, right?
Mm.
Like in anti-de Sitter space, you could say, well, beyond this point, which is beyond the unknown, beyond, where gravity could exist in the first place, that's the edge of, that's the edge of the known space as we know it, physical dimension as we know it, and that's de Sitter space. And so they include that within their mathematical equation to get rid of one of the variables. You know what I mean? Of what dark matter couldn't be. You get what I mean? But this
Yeah.
is all premised on the idea that fucking dark matter exists.
Now, according to a recent discovery, that doesn't seem to be the case, as you were talking about with Tiki.
Yeah, because when they try to apply the Lambda CDM, right, they have to assume the hypothesis of a singularity. If that's the case, then everything, including dark matter and dark matter energy, uh, came out of that singularity, and everything's been expanding from that particular point in time, right?
Yeah.
And so when we point the direction of the general telemetry, given our best calculations of how and how fast things are expanding, it turns out it's like literally no different from any other place that we would point the telescope as far as distribution of younger versus older galaxies.
Yeah. That Jesuit did all good work for nothing.
Yeah. So that's what I mean by the fucking physics bros are fucking coping at this point. They've been
Hmm.
coping for the past 6 months.
No. So what do you think is going to be taught in our schools like 50 years later then?
Well, I mean, that's where the debate is right now, right? That's where you have like, people who were proponents of like still like the Newtonian kind of worldview. um they're just like, hey, why don't we just go back and like, just focus on real physics, like stuff like it's pointless to try to theorize and focus all of our time and energy try to come up with like a unified theory of everything. That's their point, because wouldn't it be better use of resources and funding to just fucking fund material sciences? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
there's like a there's like a lot of good theories and mathematical theories that we have for particular like molecules that don't exist yet. Why don't we, instead of spending millions and billions of dollars lobbying for, people to work on string theory calculations, why not just have them work on material science? That's kind of
And
like
then
the
and then
argument.
the discoveries will flow from those, correct?
I mean, no, no, there's no guarantee. I mean, they're literally saying that it's pointless to try to do like some grand unified theory of relativity. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like,
No.
but you can obviously see for like a quote unquote agnostic or skeptic like physicist who they believe like they're like their interest, right, is in trying to find that, right? It seems for them it would feel like they're giving up, you know what I mean? Or their argument, the way they see it was that, okay, well, are you just saying there's like a no purpose for physics for the sake of physics?
Hmm.
That is kind of what we're saying.
Yeah. Mm. I don't know. It's pretty confusing because we live in a time where we thought we knew everything for the last like 300 years. Then all of a sudden, in the past 20, these theories have been seriously challenged and diminished. So it's just it's just odd. Abysmal, you still
Mhm.
there?
Sorry, what was the last question?
No, it wasn't a question. I was just saying we live in a confusing time because for the past 300 years, it seems as if we've had these theses that have been solid, and then the past 20, they've all been seriously questioned and diminished.
Wait, what keeps going on again? I'm
Um,
sorry if I'm
I was
backtracking. I'm kind of like distracted.
no, no, no. It's okay. I was just saying we live in a confusing time concerning
Yeah,
physics because of the
not
new
only not
discoveries.
only physics, but also because of the whole AI thing, you know. But
Oh, yeah.
like we live in a much more less and less, we live in a much more skeptical society, right? And like all the institutions that are supposed to stand for something, stable, like the Catholic Church, like, but
Mm.
regardless of that, there's actually been like an uptick in people like converting to Catholicism or Christianity at this point. Because even though
There has
things,
been.
yeah, 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 it's because people feel destabilized by all of this. You see what I mean? Like all these questions, and it turns out that, you know, even if you wanted to like, pursue that kind of line of questioning, it turns out, I mean, like literally within the past year, like all of those assumptions are turning out to be no better alternative. Which
Yeah.
that's basically what the theists we've been saying this whole fucking time. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So like, are you asking me like where this all ends or something?
No, I wasn't asking you a question. It was just an observation. That's all. Mm. Wonder what my physics department looks like then. Mm.
If you're thinking about switching majors or something, just be a material scientist. You'll make a lot of money.
No, I'm not thinking about switching majors. Mm.
What's your major right now?
Education with a concentration in
Oh
mathematics.
yeah, that's
Remember I
right.
told
You're
you?
that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, go be a CPA.
Oh,
You can do
oh.
mathematics. Maybe you want to do like mathematics with general accounting or something like that if your school offers accounting degree.
It
Or
does. It
okay,
does.
then do that. And then all you have to do is take the CPA license. You can start interning as well for like an accounting firm like as soon as possible basically.
I had a teacher in high school who used to be an accountant and then he switched to becoming a teacher. Mm. He didn't like accounting. He didn't like being cramped up in an office, even though he made a lot of money.
First world problems, that's all I have to say. You'll see. You're going to regret not listening to me in 20 years. Now I sound like your
Um,
parent. Like, but literally, I'm like at the age where I could be your parent. You know what I mean? I could have had you like when I was 18, and you'd be like my son in college for sure.
mm.
And all I
Why
have to
did you
say
say good
is,
on that?
you're right. You should just you're gonna regret not listening to me. That's all I'm
Well,
saying.
why are you saying that? Because in terms of income?
Because how you feel about life and how you feel about what you want out of life is gonna change from when you get older versus when
Oh
you're
yeah,
young.
yeah, I
When you're
know.
fucking
I know it's
young,
going
you
to
think
change.
I can
Bro,
do anything. I have all these possibilities and fucking choices, but that's not the way that the world works. You have to make the right choices.
so why
And
you
most of
throw
the time,
dirt on that?
you just don't know what you don't know. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah. Okay,
Well,
that
yeah,
is
but
okay.
I'm
Why
of
you
the
throw dirt
opinion
on that?
too. Like I know because you're right. Most people do think that are my age are just like they have all the possibilities in the world and they can change majors at some point. But I also understand um, that this is not always a possibility. In that, if you do make the wrong decisions, you are seriously set back.
I
Um,
can tell you based on my experience where the
yeah,
labor market is right now, given your current undergraduate work, and based on what I know about the labor market, about the CPA industry,
yeah,
is what you like you're talking about, oh well yeah, like you're working a boring job indoors looking at fucking spreadsheets all day. Dude, if you that's the job that you can fucking do remotely. AI isn't going to be able to do what you do. Does that make sense? Because it's going to require like compliance and all this other fucking tax law bullshit. You get what I mean? And auditing procedures. The thing is the CPA field is a lot bigger than you think. What you don't know is all the proprietary information about fucking running a business, merger and acquisition, um, scaling businesses, whatever, appraising businesses, all the shit that you don't fucking know because they don't teach that kind of shit in fucking school. That's the shit you have to learn fucking on the job because again, it's proprietary. There are financial regulatory bodies that exist and associations that exist out there that gatekeep that information because it affects their profit. They're
hmm
not allowed to teach that shit in fucking in the fucking academic setting.
yeah,
If you have parents that either have their own CPA firms and their kids know this, here's the thing. Here's what all the rich and wealthy people do. They send their kids to go fucking business degrees so that they can get qualification in order to get certified to run as a principal of private equity firms. Because that's where all the fucking money is.
Why are you sitting in the car?
mm,
So that's another avenue you can go to as well. Having the skills as a CPA or even the licensing involved with that, it just gives you a lot more versatility. Just being a CPA in general. Like there's so many different fields. What do I mean by there's different fields to it? Because there's different types of financial instruments. There's different types of financial strategies. There's different types of financial industries. Everything that has anything related to business is always about finance and accounting. You could do it
yeah,
at and you can do it at any scale as well. Small scale, corporate scale.
mm,
As you get older in life, what you're going to realize is that making money not by working harder, by working smarter, quote unquote, is going to be like, yeah, time is going to
yeah,
be more of a is time is going to be more valuable to you than exchanging your fucking time for a salary.
yeah.
And you just have a romantic notion if you think that, oh, if your vocation is like called to like teaching, are you really going to make a fucking difference? Nope.
No, but I'm gonna make a lot of money, at least where I'm at. Um, my and the job and the also the job growth of teaching.
Here's the thing, then
Is-
you don't need again education degree. Just fucking get the CPA. If you have a business, you can get a fucking education degree whenever. They'll always fucking need teachers, man.
Mm,
Go fucking be a practitioner first. And then I mean, you're gonna be more useful to students once you do that.
yeah. Mm,
Get good as a practitioner, so that get good at the skill, so that when you go to teach, you're probably one of the best teachers, and you'll be high demand. Everyone will want to be your student. That's how a lot of these professors, from what I can tell, get like high demand students or high demand by students because they're number one, yeah, they're good teachers, but number two, they are reputable beyond reputation.
Yeah, they like actually know what the fuck they're doing, and they have like real world experience to talk about when they're actually teaching the stupid subjects that they already, all the courses that they fucking took back when they were fucking undergrad. So they come back with like a wealth of information that's like applicable, right? And
mhm.
then you have
Like
all these fucking education nerds in there that they're like, oh, I'm just gonna be career in teaching, so I'm just gonna read about what I should be teaching about. Like, what?
I mean, if you were a medical student, you could go to your average university, you know, professor, doctor, has experience, right? Or you go to the top surgeon in the entire country that teaches at this university. You're going to want to go to the top surgeon that teaches at I don't know, freaking Harding, wherever university is, MIT, wherever they are. You're going to want to go there.